All right, let's talk about a very, very serious issue as far as the SAPS is concerned. 740 guns owned by the SAPS have been confirmed to have been lost in the last financial year. Don't know where they've gone. It's far higher than the projected target of 600. What worries me is that there's a projected target of how many guns could be lost by the SAPS. So what is this all due to? It seems it's due to theft, negligence, and the robbery of officers. And there's a lot to talk about that last one. Tim Flack from Guns Uncensored joining us this morning. Tim, good to have you with us on eNCA. Appreciate the time. And here's the problem. We can talk gun-free South Africa, but now we need to talk about those who are supposed to protect us, who are trained to have weapons, who are losing them. What do you make of this? Good morning.
Good morning, Gareth, and morning, viewers. It's quite concerning. And going back to 2017, between 2005 and 2017, at least 26,000 guns have been lost by SAPS itself. So it's quite a large number. And looking at the projections and the way things have been going since then, we're looking at closer to about 30,000 guns since 2005 alone. So SAPS is quite it has been losing quite a lot of firearms, and it is very concerning.
The problem is here you're going to have those coming out and calling the police minister a hypocrite, saying that we need to deal with gun violence. We can't have this many guns on South African streets. We can't have guns down in the Western Cape on the Cape Flats. But yet his own police officers have lost, as you say, 30,000 guns over a period of years. I mean, this isn't insignificant. It's probably contributing to the gun violence, I imagine.
It absolutely is, and it's not necessarily only the police minister too. We've got to look at the justice system and the NPA. I feel that the NPA isn't sufficiently trained enough in ways to prosecute firearms-related matters. I've had many cases, one recently where we've seen that the NPA isn't competent in the Firearms Control Act to be able to prosecute these things. Well, when we're looking at the firearms that SAPS are losing, we're not specifically just talking firearms. We're talking fully automatic rifles as well. So these guns fire a lot of rounds when you just pull and hold the trigger, and it makes it more dangerous. And these are the guns that normal civilians in South Africa don't have access to. It's only SAPS and SANDF that have these firearms.
Exactly as you were saying that, I was thinking of the illegal mining issue, the zamazamas that we have, especially up here in the Johannesburg, Gauteng area, Randfontein, and all those areas. When the police arrest them, when they do make those arrests, there's always quite a lot of fanfare, Tim, about how automatic rifles were seized. But as you say, that's not something that I, as an ordinary South African, can go and buy. It's your R5 rifles, it's semi-automatic guns, as well as the ammunition that's been taken as well. But we're hearing stories that even the police are being robbed of their own guns. I mean, it would be comical if it wasn't so serious.
Absolutely, and this is also something that I've been advocating for. Another organization that I work for is the Officer Down Project, and we advocate specifically for police officers to have a level 3 holster that they can keep their firearms retained on them with. Level 3 retention holster has different mechanisms in place that you can't just go and rip that firearm. And we see them very commonly used by the US law enforcement agencies, and is very successful in helping them retain them. The unfortunate thing is we're dealing with cash and transit heists, and we're dealing with illegal mining, and these guys want fully automatic firearms. And it's going to be a lot easier to get hold of them from a police officer than it is anyone else.
Talk to me about this, if I heard you right, this Officer Down program. Help me understand what that's about, because it sounds like that's something that is trying to assist the police. Tim, talk to me about that.
Yes, yeah. So Officer Down is a project that we started to provide first aid kits to police officers and law enforcement officers specifically for free, so that if they are shot in the line of duty and if they are attacked in an instance where criminals want to try and get a hold of their firearms, they can go and they have the ability to stop the bleeding if they are shot. It was started because of a young police officer that was shot and killed last year in Grassy Park here in the Western Cape, and being shot in the chest can lead to something like a pneumothorax, which lets you basically asphyxiate to death, and being able to stop the bleed and stop that kind of injury can also save police officers' lives. This also implicates, it also stops police officers from being able to do their job more effectively, because if they do get shot, it obviously has some kind of a fear in it, and they're not obviously willing to pursue criminals as harshly as they would.
Oh, you also would then see their colleagues, seeing them, for example, being shot even with armoured plating on, and you have that pneumothorax which forms, that creates a fear in their colleagues who may have witnessed it as well, and then we go down the rabbit hole from there. So we've discussed a couple of issues. Thanks for helping me understand what Officer Down is. It's a program. I'd like to talk about it one day to you. Or with you about that. But I want to talk about the theft you've spoken about, the robbery of officers we've spoken about. The negligence is quite something else. I've heard stories from those who are involved at lower-ranking police officers that I have contacts with, where officers will come back from duty, not sign their ammunition back in, not sign their firearms back in. They leave them in the car when they get out at the petrol station to go buy a sandwich. It's all this sort of negligence as well. It worries me about the kind of training when it comes to firearm and ammunition management with SAPs. I would have expected them to be at the top of the ladder when it comes to management of weapons, but it's simply not the case.
Absolutely. And when it comes to civilians, for example, should you and I, for example, leave our firearms in our cars and it gets stolen, the first thing that happens is a Section 102 Board of Inquiry gets brought in, and we get declared incompetent to own a firearm. And then we're barred for the rest of our lives. And the thing is that the Firearms Control Act doesn't necessarily only apply to civilians. It applies to the police as well. So when they do these things, they aren't being held negligent in terms of having an inquiry against them either. And it's not necessarily only just firearms. It's like you said, you brought up ammunition management too. We've seen over the years many comical pictures of people going into the toilets at the police station and seeing a Beretta or a Z88 on the toilet paper holder of a police officer, and it's a police firearm. These things happen. It's quite often. It's a very common thing. Guys take their guns off when they go to the loo, and then they leave it there. So it's something that we see a lot.